I grew up in a family of 5. I had a brother and a sister, and we were loud and boisterous, and growing up in our house was a lot of fun. And it was the kind of environment where we fought a lot, we wrestled a lot, but we did it in a way where we knew we really loved each other, and we had a huge support network behind us. And that's something that I've tried to create with my kids. And my parents, one of the things that they did for me, I really value that they did for us, is they tried to make our home a place where we could bring our hard questions, we could bring all of our kind of dreams that we wanted for our lives. And they always told us nothing was impossible if you worked hard, if you had a plan, if you were diligent about it. And that influence has really impacted how I think about raising our kids. As I was growing up, we lived about 15 minutes from my grandparents. And when I look back at the influence that they had on me, it was really profound. My grandfather was a Presbyterian minister, and I remember going to church on Sundays and watching him get up and deliver a sermon, and I was so proud of the way he did that, and really was attracted to the way that he would present his ideas. But what I loved about it was then I got to come home with him afterwards. And he was the kind of person that really encouraged my questions. He encouraged me to think about some of life's big issues. And having somebody who will sit next to you, who will walk alongside you in that journey is just invaluable. So right now, my wife and I have 3 children under the age of 6. We have a son and 2 daughters, and life is crazy, but life is wonderful. And I think a lot of people will recognize when they read 5 Simple Things that there's a kind of frantic nature to it as well, because life right now, just like anybody else who has 3 kids under 6, is crazy. And coming up with a tool that will really quickly allow me to think about what's important, to get a list done. I mean, if you're like me, at the end of the day, it's very difficult to look back and say, I've got even a spare minute to do anything. And I think that's just the nature of being at this stage of life. So when I think about 5 Simple Things, I'm hoping that there are a lot of young parents like us that are going through the same things that will hopefully find some respite in this book. And thinking about all the things that I've got to get done in a day, all the hats I have to wear, at work, and other things I'm involved in, and then when I get home. I'm so glad that I've got those 3 kids there, though, that I come home to every day, because having those little ones who, no matter what I've encountered throughout the day, I know they are going to be glad to see me. I know they are going to stand with me no matter what I've encountered. That is so reassuring. As a small business person, one of the things that I've realized is you've got to be very creative about getting things done. And there are lots of hats you have to wear, and there are lots of roles that you have to play all at the same time. And so for me, when I look back at the experience that I've had in running a company, I've started to see that a lot of those principles are ones that apply to every aspect of life. Because in the same way, when you start to take yourself out of work, you've got to get more done than you have time to do. You've got to get more done with less resources than you have. So what I want to do is to figure out, are there things that I've learned in my business life, are there things that I can apply, and then take some of those best practices and share them with others. At the same time, I want to hear from other people who have more experience than I do about those kinds of things. I hope that Porch Step will be a place where people can do that. There are so many negative messages out there. And one of the things that I need every day is the reinforcement of the good things that are going on. The stories where the good things are happening, the small miracles that we encounter every day. I want Porch Step to be the kind of place where we can talk about those things, we can inspire and encourage people with those things, but then we can give them the tools to say, how do I go out and actually make this a reality in my life? As I've worked on the Porch Step concept, one of the things that has just become so abundantly clear to me is the importance of figuring out what the priorities of life need to be. And you can have lots of different priorities. You can think about a lot of different ways to spend your time. But in trying to crystallize this concept of Porch Step being a place where we focus on faith, family, and future, it's allowed me to say, what are the things that I'm spending my time on right now that aren't as important? And in doing that, I've become a whole lot more intentional about the way that I view my time, about the things that I am pursuing. And Porch Step has just given me personally a chance to sit back and say, at the end of the day, there's only so much you can get done. Concentrate on the things that are important. I think interactive communities are going to be a big part of what we're trying to do. You know, when I think about the Porch Step, initially I think about, you know, a grand house with a big physical porch on it. What I think will be interesting to see evolve is that our Porch Step may be a virtual Porch Step, where people can gather to start to think about these ideas in a meaningful way, but they may never physically connect with each other. That's the beauty of using technology to be able to do those things. The other thing I really want Porch Step to be is a place where we can take the best stories that can encourage and inspire people. You know, we have a tagline that we talk about, which is rediscover hope. Well, the way you rediscover hope often is to look at what's going on in other people's lives. What are the struggles they've gone through? What are the successes that they've had? What are the things that we can learn from each other? And when we do that, we rediscover a new hope for ourselves. So my hope is that Porch Step will be the kind of place where we tell those stories. And we tell those stories in a meaningful way so that people can find their encouragement from it. So I will never forget that Monday. I talk a lot about that Monday that I got back from that trip from the beach. And I remember sitting at my desk thinking how wonderful it had been to spend the week before not worrying about anything. And it was during that day that I started to realize what were the elements of that trip to the beach with my family that just differentiated it from my life at the office. And it was because of that that I started to say, wow, if I could have the same attitude to life that I had when I was on vacation, simplifying what I did, only trying to get a couple of things done in a day, but things that were really meaningful and important, I could be a whole lot more effective in what I was trying to do. So 5 Simple Things is the result of that. It was just the realization that at the end of the day, I'd be more effective if I could concentrate on what mattered most. And it took a week at the beach with my family to make that a reality. At the time we wrote the book, Ann Baker, our daughter, was 2 years old. And I thought about the way that I communicate to her. And it was in simple words, simple concepts. And so as I started to think about the framework for 5 Simple Things, one of the things that I decided to do was to do it in a framework that would be very simple for her to communicate and very simple to explain. Think, do, reach out, believe, and love. You know, the book is put together in a way that really all 5 of the things set on each other. But I'll tell you, the part of the book that I enjoy doing most every day is that period at the very beginning when I start to realize all of the good things that have happened to me as I start a new day. So I don't have a favorite thing, but sitting down and ticking off those list of 5 things that I'm thankful for guarantees that if I don't get anything else done on that list, I start the day with a real sense of what I've been blessed with and what I've got behind me as I start the new day.